Welcome to Sports Night. I'm Matthew Coronado alongside Davis Johnson. And Davis, it's been a while, and we're so glad to have you back in studio on Sports Night. Davis, do you want to do the honors?
For sure, Matthew. It's Sports Night.
Right now. Welcome back to Sports Night. And Davis, it's been a while since we've been back in the studio, hasn't it?
Yes, it's been almost a year since we were last back in the studio, but we're really glad to be back bringing you guys some Northwestern sports.
Well, let's get right to it. What do we got, Davis?
Well, let's head right to the baseball diamond. For the first time in nearly 2 years, Northwestern took the field in Evanston at Rocky and Bernice Miller Park to face the Riker Scarlet Knights for a weekend series. Northwestern is looking to build some momentum after losing 3 of their last 4 games. Let's see how they fared on the diamond. This past weekend, the 10-8 Northwestern Wildcats made their 2021 home debut against the 9-9 Rutgers Scarlet Knights for a 3-game series. On Friday afternoon, Northwestern took Game 1 by a score of 6-5. The Cats ace Mike Doherty turned in a quality outing, pitching 7 innings, giving up 5 hits and only 1 earned run, while striking out 6. First baseman Anthony Clarko homered in the bottom of the 9th to tie the game at 5, and shortstop Sean Goosenberg walked it off for the Cats in the bottom of the 12th. On Saturday morning, Rutgers evened the series with a decisive 8-4 victory. Sean Goosenberg and Leo Kaplan both smacked 2-run home runs, but the Cats were not sharp defensively, committing 5 errors. The Scarlet Knights used a 3-run 7th inning to put the game away. In the decisive third game on Sunday afternoon, Rutgers was able to edge out Northwestern 6-5. The Scarlet Knights actually led 5-0 in the 8th inning, thanks in large part to 2 home runs from center fielder Ryan Lasko and 5 scoreless innings from starting pitcher Justin Sinibaldi. A 2-run homer from Sean Goosenberg tied the game at 5 in the bottom of the 9th. But Rutgers first baseman Jordan Sweeney scored the go-ahead run with a solo shot in the 10th inning. Despite the series loss, Goosenberg earned Big Ten Player of the Week honors, smacking 4 homers and batting over .500 on the weekend. Northwestern will be at home again this weekend as they take on the 13-7 Indiana Hoosiers at Rocky and Bernice Miller Park. Earlier this week, our very own Matthew Coronado had a chance to sit down with John Riker of the Daily Northwestern to discuss all things baseball.
I'm here with John Riker of the Daily Northwestern, and we're going to talk some Northwestern baseball. John, how are you?
Doing well, Matthew. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, and I'm excited to talk about some of Northwestern's baseball right now. So let's get right into the questions. The first one being that this past weekend, the baseball team had a series against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They lost 2 of those games and came out with a dub on one of them on a Sean Goosenberg walk-off home run. So, John, what do you think went wrong in the 2 other losses in this series?
Yeah, that game 1 that you referenced on the Friday with the Goosenberg walk-off home run, that was definitely a big win. Coach Allen's 100th win. But then after that, things kind of got off the rails a little bit. I think that the Cats really came away from Saturday's losses. An 8-4 loss, it doesn't look that close, but 3 of those Rutgers runs were unearned. They had 5 errors, including 3 by third baseman Evan Minerovic. And the next day, Evan Minerovic wasn't starting. The Cats are one of the most erratic fielding teams in the Big Ten. So even though they're so great at hitting, it's been really a struggle for them in the field. And even Goosenberg, for all of his hitting prowess this year, he's currently leading the Big Ten in errors. So that's something that they could definitely clean up. And then Sunday was a very close game. A Goosenberg home run got it into extras. So they were right there until the end. But kind of getting there was a struggle itself. They went 8 innings with just 1 run. And that's something where they had a pretty good pitching performance from Quinn Lavelle, but they just couldn't capitalize on that until the final innings. And then it was just a Rutgers home run that proved to be the difference between a 1 series and a series defeat.
That's how it can be with baseball sometimes. Sometimes one home run, 1 run decides everything. But for Northwestern, looking at a lot of their games up to this point in the season, their record at 11-10, a lot of their losses has not been because they can't get their bats on the ball. They've been scoring a lot of runs this season. What do you think needs to be shored up in the defense to give the Cats more chances at winning games for the rest of the season?
Sure thing. Yeah, I think the fielding is definitely an area where the Cats have expressed this is something that needs to improve. It's a lot of going from third base, going from shortstop, and just clean throws to first baseman Anthony Calarco. That really, those have been the difference in a couple really close games this season. So they can kind of make those defensive plays. That's something where they believe that they can use that to kind of take that next step. I mean, they're right there in the thick of the Big Ten race. It's just kind of cleaning that up. And then I think as well, the pitching hasn't been awful. It's not at the very bottom of the Big Ten, but it's kind of mediocre right now, I would say, in the runs given up. And I think this would be a huge boost to the team if some of their aces could really step up and kind of be innings eaters at this point of the season.
Pitching, oh so important in the Big Ten, that is for sure. Looking forward, though, for the Cats in their next series against the Indiana Hoosiers, they have a tough series ahead of them. Who are some of the key players on Northwestern's side that will help them get wins in this 3-game series?
I'm very interested to see how Indiana plays Sean Gusenberg. I would have expected Rutgers to try to walk him a bit, given that they're just letting him hit in high leverage situations and made them pay twice. So I would be very interested, since Sean's such a big part of that Wildcats offense, what Indiana tries to do to get him out of the equation. So that's something I'll be looking for. But then I would also say a big key would be if the Wildcats can get kind of a true shutdown performance from one of their starters. I think that would go a long way. They're a very, very good team at kind of jumping out to those early leads. So building that on offense, but then also complementing that with an ace proving himself with a huge pitching performance, that could be a winning formula for the Cats as they try to keep their winning record going forward.
We'll have to see if they're able to do that in that series against Indiana next, or this upcoming weekend against the Indiana Hoosiers. And again, thank you so much. It's John Riker from the Daily Northwestern. His Twitter will be on the graphic below. You can follow him. Again, thank you so much, John. This was great. And now back to the studio.
Thank you to John Riker for that analysis. And now to the pitcher circle in softball. Northwestern last weekend took on Minnesota Golden Gophers in a 4-game series in a clash of top 3 teams in the Big Ten. Northwestern looking to cruise in first place in the Big Ten standings. Let's see how they fared this past weekend.
The Northwestern Wildcats were in softball collegiate action against the Minnesota Golden Gophers this past weekend. Let's see how they did. In Game 1, Northwestern would go down 3-2 to Minnesota, and off the bats of McKenna Partain, Natalie Den Hartog, and Sydney Strelo, who all had 1 RBI in that game. Morgan Newport got the pitching start for Northwestern, but was unable to contain that Minnesota offense throughout that game. In Game 2, it was not quite as close. Minnesota won 6-2 with a home run from McKenna Partain, and they got out to that lead early. They were up 4-0 in the second inning, but a shot from Maeve Nelson brought the Wildcats back into it, but they weren't able to get any more offense going from that point, so they lost the game 6-2. In Game 3, it was the closest one of the weekend, and Northwestern had a lead for the first time in the weekend as well in the bottom of the first inning, but Minnesota would come back, and it would end up going to extra innings, and in the top of the 8th, Delaney Cox hits a home run for Minnesota to put them up 2-1, and Northwestern was unable to answer. From that point, they lose Game 3. And Game 4 was a rout by Minnesota. They win that one 10-4, and a lot of players got involved for the Golden Gophers. Partain, Den Hartog, Kemet Mueller, and Chloe Evans all had a home run, and so they win that game 10-4. Northwestern will face the Iowa Hawkeyes next weekend in softball.
Looking to rebound for that Minnesota series, Northwestern will be back on the road this weekend as they face Iowa in a 4-game road series.
Next up on Sports Night, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to look at all the home runs from this past weekend's softball and baseball series.
We're going to go over all the home runs that baseball and softball had this weekend. The first one, Sean Gusenberg launches one over the Coldike Field sign at Rocky and Bernice. How about Michael Troutwine, a similar spot? Steven Rustich getting in on the action against Rutgers in the bottom of the 7th inning here. That's his 8th on the year. Anthony Calarco, the lefty, hammers one into right field. And of course, the walk-off home run to give Northwestern the win by Sean Gusenberg. Comes back the very next day and knocks another one into left field right over the wall. And how about Leo Kaplan, just his 2nd home run on the year? Gets one out of Coldike Field. That one's gone. Michael Troutwine also with a nice weekend. That's his 2nd against Rutgers. And of course, Sean Gusenberg to tie this game up with a man on second base. He gets that one to go. Moving on to softball now. Maeve Nelson, high off of Welsh Ryan. She hits that one way out. Jordan Rudd in a similar spot, just a little bit left, also high off. And of course, Rachel Lewis hammered one into center field. That's a long way to go.
Let us know what your favorite home run was on our Twitter poll, and we'll keep you updated on all the rest of the dingers for the rest of the season.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Welcome back to Sports Night, and Davis. Northwestern football has a couple of first-round projected draft picks. Rashawn Slater and Greg Newsome are projected in the first round. But today, we're talking about another first-round projected draft pick in Justin Fields.
And yes, Justin Fields projected to be a top quarterback selected in this upcoming first round. A lot of quarterbacks projected in those top 10 picks, Justin Fields included. And our very own Tyler Haskins sat down to break some film from Justin Fields' performance in the Big Ten Championship game against Northwestern.
Thanks, Matt and Davis. Hello, I'm Tyler Haskins, and welcome to the first ever installment of Draft Wrap. We preview NFL prospects and evaluate their stock ahead of this year's NFL Draft.
Now, today on the first installment of Draft Wrap, we're going to be talking about Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields. Now, Fields is one of the top quarterback prospects in the NFL Draft this year, but a lot of scouts have been a little questionable about how his play will carry over from college to the NFL. And I think the reason for that is a couple games during this 2020 season. One against Indiana during the regular season, but the other against Northwestern in the Big Ten Championship. So just want to analyze some clips here and see why scouts might be a little turned off by his play. So here in this first clip, this is later on in the game, but Fields is going to make a great throw here to Garrett Wilson out on the outside. He realizes pre-snap that he's got man-to-man coverage, single coverage at that with Wilson, and he's going to just take a 3-step drop and hit him in stride on the sideline. Now, this is a tough throw as he's making this from the college hash all the way to the opposite sideline. Not an easy throw to make, and this lets scouts know that he can make any throw on the field. So this is going to raise his draft stock. But then we take a look at plays like these. Now, this is earlier on in the game. Now, Ohio State has a trick play set up here where they're going to call Garrett Wilson out of the orbit motion, out of the slot, pre-snap, and then Fields is going to throw the ball back to him where he'll then be able to throw it down the field for the possible touchdown to one of the receivers. Now, all Fields has to do is just throw this pass, complete it. It's a simple pass in the backfield to Wilson, but he throws the ball into the dirt, and since it's behind the line of scrimmage, it's a backwards pass. It is a live ball. Northwestern almost jumps on it and almost goes the other way in the Wildcats' possession. This is a very dangerous play. The field's almost coughed up. And when you see this, you talk about decision-making and consistency, and this might be turning scouts off. Now, this last play here, we see this on SportsCenter multiple times. This is right before the half. And he's got Garrett Wilson here on an inside fade with a lot of space to the back pylon, but he just underthrows this ball just enough for Brandon Joseph to go up and make a great one-handed interception. And Fields, got to be a little better there. You have to put that ball in the end zone right before the half. Now, if you're a fan of Big Ten football, you've probably seen this picture of Brandon Joseph going up to make this one-handed grab multiple times already. But just a direct quote from Brandon Joseph himself. He believes that he probably messed up Justin Fields' draft stock himself with this play right here. There you have it, folks.
That'll do it for this edition of Draft Wrap. Tune in next week where we preview Northwestern defensive back Greg Newsome. Once again, I'm Tyler Haskins. Pat Davis, back to you.
Thank you, Tyler, for that film breakdown. And now, a brand new segment debuting on Sportsnight, Anchor's Choice. My choice for this week is to give a shout out to the undefeated women's lacrosse team in their historic offense. The Cats average over 20 goals a game, 3 more than the second highest team in UMass. Izzy Skane is currently on pace to shatter the NCAA goals per game record at 6.4, with the record currently being 5.71. Skane and teammate Lord Gilbert are first and third respectively in goals per game this year and will become the most prolific scoring duo in NCAA women's lacrosse history.
For my Anchor's Choice, I'm talking about all the transfers that have been happening for Northwestern basketball. First, it's Anthony Gaines. He's transferring to Siena, and the reason being is that he's not getting enough minutes and enough starts on Northwestern. In his senior year, he only started 5 of the 24 games that Northwestern played. So he's transferring out and going to Siena. And of course, we also have to talk about Miller Kopp. He entered the transfer portal, and as a sophomore, he started all his games, averaging 13, but he saw his production slump in his junior year, only averaging 11 points. So Northwestern has now had 2 players who have transferred out of the program in Anthony Gaines and Miller Kopp, but recently they got a transfer into the program in Elijah Williams, an Evanston native, and he went to Evanston Township High School. He's a 6'7", 220-pound point forward type guard, and he has the length to be able to defend competitively in the Big Ten, as well as he was able to average 14 points and 7.5 rebounds at Fairleigh Dickinson when he was there for 3 years. He also shoots 42% from three-point land, so he's going to be a nice addition for this Wildcats team. We'll have to see how this all pans out for the Northwestern offense in the upcoming season.
And now, a Sports Night classic. Plays of the week coming right up.
The first play of the week is this shot by Jordan Rudd in Game 4 against Minnesota. That one is way off of Welsh Ryan.
All right, bottom 9, Northwestern down 2 to Rutgers in the final game of a 3-game series, and Sean Goosenberg lays into this one. That ball was crushed and way gone. Goosenberg would hit 4 home runs, and he was just on a tear this past weekend.
And our number 1 play of the week, it's Sean Goosenberg against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and he hammers one. Watch it flying to center field. It's way gone. Northwestern would win this game on this walk-off home run in the bottom of the 12th inning off of that home run. It would be their only win of the weekend, but quite a sweet moment for the Wildcats.
And that'll do it for us here at Sports Night. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at NNN Sports. It's been our first studio show in over a year. For Matthew Coronado, I'm Davis Johnson. Make sure to tune in next week for Sports Night.